All right, welcome everyone to this week's episode of Digital Dilemmas. This week, as our guest, we have DJ Furano. DJ is a recent graduate of the University of Connecticut. He was famously known as the football team's videographer. Is that the correct title, DJ? Digital Dilemmas is a Lenk Media original podcast. Awesome. So how many years did you do that for the football program?
So I did it for 4 years. COVID year, we didn't have a lot to do because the season got canceled. But
Okay.
yeah, I did it for 4 years, all the way through senior year and right up to the end.
That's awesome. So you have spent some time on the road, I know, at Michigan, the Big House Stadium. You've been to Tennessee. What other great stadiums have you been to?
Yeah, Michigan and Tennessee were definitely like my highlights. They were amazing. Just the atmosphere there cannot be matched really anywhere else. I'm just very accustomed to each school, the culture that's there. Every school is different. Clemson was an awesome one. Boston College was cool. There's like a lake right next to their stadium, very pretty, very beautiful. We went to UCF, which their stadium is actually nicknamed the Bounce House because the fans just jump up and down and make the whole place shake. So that was really cool.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And I know you guys worked your butt off doing that job. I saw your documentary where you guys were up early, you travel with the team, you get back late, and you have to do a lot of work in between games and practices. So I know you guys work your butts off.
Oh yeah, it's a lot
Hi.
of hours that aren't seen, and it's good to feel
Right.
appreciated.
Cool. Hi, Amber. How are you?
Oh, I'm swell. Um, I'm great. I too think it's a really interesting thing to have done in college, and it's one of those things that you don't really think about. You just take for granted all of the video coverage of the sports teams. Not me personally. My high school didn't have a football team, and my college might as well have not had a football team. But since, being connected through John to UConn, I've sort of gotten a sense of what it's like to attend a school where the sports teams are good and people care. So yeah, that's been really cool.
Yeah, a lot of what
And
DJ did, hun, was a lot of the videos go to the players where they're looking at their plays and how they performed on the field in
yeah,
practice or
I
in
know.
games. It's a lot.
Yeah,
So you develop
it's,
relationships with players too.
oh, I'm sure. I feel like DJ will appreciate the reference I made last week to the new Madden game, or not new, but the NCAA football
Yeah, I'm really excited
Madden
about that.
game is out. Have you seen the promo?
Yeah, I think the promo just came out today. It looks awesome. I'm
It's
super excited.
sick. It
Yeah.
looks so good. We were talking about it because my two kids are really into it, and so it came up on I forget some episode of the podcast, but it came up at home, and they showed it to us, and you can barely tell the difference. Like, it looks live. It doesn't look like a game.
Yeah, I mean, it looks amazing from what I've seen. And thing that I'm really nostalgic about is that I played the previous version, so it was like NCAA 14. I remember playing that as a kid. It's kind of cool, and a lot of people are like, obviously people who are more NFL fans are just really like, why like college football? And I think what people forget, like, if you didn't go to a big college that doesn't have a big football team, like, or a lot of sports, like you don't have that feel. But you go to places like where I went in Tennessee, even UConn's, like everybody has a feel for their sport and everybody's connected to it because you spent 4 years of your life there and you lived on that campus. You went to class with these guys. You woke up on Saturday and just went to the games. And I think it's such a culture that can't be taught really. It's just you're kind of breeded into it. And that's the thing that I think is really successful about these NCAA games. And I think this one's going to be even more successful. And me, as someone who's played Madden and NCAA, I'm very happy for it because now Madden has a competitor, in which everybody always says every year, "Yep, Madden's the same game every year. You pay $70, it's just the same game as last year, just updated graphics. That's all that they do." And now, really, I mean, it's inside the same company, but there's a competitor now. So if a lot more people are buying NCAA, which I think is going to happen, a lot more people are going to buy NCAA that will buy Madden. a lot more people someone's going to go over to the Madden team and say, what's going on? Your sales are down. What are you doing? Like something's wrong here. So they're going to have competition like it is in any market. And I think that's huge. And like I said before, it's just the culture cannot be beat. And a lot of people that don't know that most college football stadiums are bigger than NFL stadiums. NFL stadiums hold like 50 to 60,000 capacity. And college stadiums hold upwards of 80, 90. A lot of the big name schools, most of them have 100,000 capacity. And it is just, they're huge. And it's like, there's nothing ever like it. So that's what I think really connects people with this college football culture.
Well, I think DJ is going to be a great guest today for a lot of reasons for our audience.
Wait, I have a
DJ's,
question. I have another question.
you do?
About the game. Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't believe it. Go ahead.
Sorry. Well, I just think it's really interesting because DJ shot footage of the actual football team. And like you would expect maybe someone in that position to be not threatened by the advancements in technology that make a game look real, but like maybe not so into it. And like here's someone who does both, who does like the behind the scenes documentary work for a college football team who's really into the technology that allows a game to look like real footage. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of cool now that I'm on the other side of it. Like I can tell you growing up, like hearing Sunday Night Football, that's what you look forward to every day on Sundays, is that Sunday Night Football game. And now that I'm out of the industry, it's kind of I'm still gonna love Sunday Night Football just as much, but now I'm looking at it, it's like, man, if you're the team on the road on Sunday Night Football, that flight home is gonna suck because so like think about it, then what, 8:30 kickoff, so it's 4 hour game, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, you're done with the game. By the time the coaches do their interviews, press conferences, they interview the players, they get changed, call in an hour and a half. So 12:30, so 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, go to the airport, call it a half hour. So we're at 2:30 in the morning. Let's just say it's a 3 hour flight home, which is about average anywhere across the country, but could be a 4 or 5 hour flight if it's, New York playing LA. So 3 hour flight home, 2:30, 3:30, 4:30, 5:30 in the morning. By the time they get back to their facility and do everything and everyone goes to bed, take showers, talking at least 6:30, 7:30 in the morning. And then staff's probably getting a few hours of sleep and then going right back into the office at noon. Or I know some staff members, like they get in at 7:30 from the flight, they'll shower and they'll just stay up and just work all day, and then they won't go to bed till 9 o'clock at night the next day.
That's crazy.
It,
Whole new
that-
appreciation.
yeah, really. Well,
Yeah, so they watch those games.
we've talked about it at home how and it's not part of. I don't know if we talked about it in this show, but like baseball, they play 5, 6 days a week. We watch them. Let's say you're a Yankee
Okay,
fan.
this is dangerously leading us down a road where
I
you are going
know.
to be complaining about the
No, 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 no,
NBA
no, no,
players
no, no,
and
no,
the
no, no. I
resting
won't.
schedule. No, I can
I'm
tell
in a
we're in for
really
a
good
John Murphy
place.
rant.
I'm not in a ranting mode today at all.
Well, all right.
All I was saying, we take for granted how much traveling athletes, professional
Yeah.
sports and Division I athletes do. It's the time when we watch them on TV is such a short piece of what their day and week looks like. It's if you're a Division I athlete or you're a professional athlete, they do a lot of traveling.
Yeah, not to mention even the games overseas. Like,
Yeah,
like we were UConn, we had to play Fresno State. I didn't go on that trip, but they flew them out a day early to get adjusted to the time zone and everything, the
right.
change. It's a whole different ball game.
It really is. And I think if you're just a viewer and you're a fan, an appreciation for all the travel these men and women do is required. If they look tired sometimes, it's because they are.
Yep.
Do you think you'll do, I know, I guess we're going to talk about what you do now, but um, did you like, I started out in the documentary unit at a news organization. Did you like it enough to like maybe keep doing it in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. It's a great opportunity that I had, especially as a student. Oh, it's really, really great. I don't think I'm gonna do it in the future for a few reasons, and mainly being because the hours and the time. It's not
Yeah.
that I don't love it and I have no problem, but I was thinking about it, down the road, like especially from August 1st to all the way to even Christmas. Like when we had the bowl game from UConn, I had 7 days a week, about 20-hour days, all the way from August 1st all the way, and I didn't get home till the 24th of December. So there's a lot of time that you have to put to go into it, and I would love it. It's great for me that I was young and I did it, and I realized it that it's a lot of time constraints, and eventually having a family and having kids, I'm gonna miss a lot of those opportunities.
I don't mean sports. I mean in whatever you're doing now,
Oh,
would you continue to like use the skills that you gained as a sort of a
Well,
videographer?
DJ, why don't you use that as an intro we'll kick us off with what you're going to be doing, and then as part of Amber's question, as part of that career eventually.
yeah. So I'm planning to be a career firefighter in Connecticut. I'm currently enrolled in an EMT class, and then once I get EMT, hopefully I get hired somewhere, and you go to the academy for 4 months. And I think really what the football aspect taught me was really time management, especially because I was a student working 20 to 25-hour days on game days, and coming home, coming have to do homework, and then have another responsibility at football. So I thought it taught me great time management, not only time management, but stress management. So, if you're in a fire and there's fire all around you, you can't get stressed out and use up all your oxygen that's in your tank. You got to look for an exit. You got to save yourself or save whatever victim stuff. And it's little things like that that taught me a lot in football, and especially moving up in the ranks too, and working fast. So, when I started, I was a freshman. I was the lowest man on the totem pole. And by the end of my sophomore year, I was the top video student and really the manager of everything else. And got to the point where not just my boss was getting calls at 2 a.m., it was also me as well, which, doesn't sound like a great thing, but in my eyes, it was because it showed a level of respect that the coaches had for me, and, taught me how to, stay under the radar, do your thing, do your job. And if you do it to 100%, you're going to get noticed. And that's what I think it really taught me. And that's why I'm extremely excited to go into firefighting.
That's great, DJ, and we thank you for your service. And I think it's a good lesson for if we have listeners out there who are students or recent grads, that there is no plan. We never know where our career is going to take us or our passions are going to take us, but the skills we learn along the way from our first early job all the way through college are always applicable. And I think what you just shared it's perfect. It's a perfect story to represent that. I mean, you learned a lot of skills in your 4 years at the University of Connecticut that are applying to where you're going next. And who knows, you may end up doing documentaries about firefighters or first responders at some point in your life.
Yeah, I mean, that'd definitely be a goal of mine to, once I get established at a department, love to shoot a documentary about it. That's always how I've been, whenever I do something and I really have passion for it. And especially if it's a thankless job, whether it's firefighting or doing the video job, it's always nice to bring it out in light. And when people see it, they're like, the first thing they always say is, man, I had no idea.
I had no idea. I love that. That's my favorite part of the documentary world is the, sort of the behind the scenes aspect of it and bringing out exactly that, what people had no idea.
So
Yeah.
DJ, as a 20-something-year-old, there's some tech questions I wanted to ask you that we wanted to ask you. We want to talk about. Um, I think you're the perfect representative to share stories with us along the following lines. And it's around emerging tech, it's around existing tech, it's around AI, and I'll walk through some questions. And I know you'll have your own opinions, but I also want you to share, if you have peers or friends that are different than your own, share with our listeners the views of 18 to 25-year-olds, for example. So the first one I want to get into, and I didn't plan on talking about this, but I thought about it before we went on the air. There's a recent proposal that I read about literally this morning. The state of New York, the governor of New York, is contemplating banning smartphones in school. And the reason this is coming up, and I'll give you a little bit of I'll lay the story out for you beyond the governor of New York. But there was an article that Amber and I had read a couple weeks ago that's from someone we respect that said, imagine when we went to school, if the teacher said, hey, it's okay, bring in your phone, your record player, your transistor radio, and your camera, put it on your desk,
And
and
some books,
some
like,
books
and
to
your
read,
television shows.
and you bring in your television and sit it all on your desk. Go ahead and watch any of it, look at any of it you want. I'll be up here teaching. It was a pretty funny way to look at what we all take for granted that just sits on our smartphone and how difficult it is
Did you see
to
that?
navigate.
Did you see that art? There's an article that has gotten a lot of space that it's about a teacher who tried to get his kids to stop using their phones in class. He ended up quitting.
Yeah, I saw that. He couldn't handle it.
He could,
The
yeah.
teacher was like, yeah, forget it. So DJ, the question for you is, take a deep breath. Think about that for a second. What you in my classes that you attended over the years or in high school, what do you think about that? Do you think I don't know. I just want to throw it out to you. What would kids your age think about not having a phone in the classroom?
Well, definitely kids my age would lose their mind. No question about it. I think it'd be a bigger uproar than most people have ever seen about that. But I did see that, I don't know if it was an elementary school, but a place in Ohio, they did it. And they actually saw improvements with banning phones from school. And my personal opinion that I think as someone who doesn't care, I don't want to say doesn't care, but has a hard time listening in classes and where they're not interested in it.
Yeah,
Yeah, first thing I do, go on my phone, go on
right.
Google, go on Twitter. The first thing I do, just because that's how I am.
It's like a distraction. Like I'm bored. If I'm bored
Yeah,
for a moment or I'm stressed for a moment and I need a distraction, I just jump on my phone.
exactly. And I think that goes one of two ways with that being said. Now, will banning phones help? Sure, if there's an improvement, if the numbers are up, great. But the thing that I always point out to people is that numbers aren't always 100% correct. Yes, grades might be up and that's a great thing, but are we teaching the kids to get off their phone, which yes, that could be a goal, or are we
Or forcing them to.
forcing them to, or are we advancing our teaching skills? So one thing that I learned recently, and I think this relates to especially in my EMT class, is that medical directors and doctors, they're always looking over the protocols. So like we know years ago, the Red Cross, biggest thing with CPR was, give mouth to mouth. Now we know, okay, don't give mouth to mouth to somebody unless you know them, and do this with CPR. Okay, first give two breaths. It changes and it evolves constantly. Saving someone's life evolves constantly. And for example, we've all learned CPR in our first aid classes. Wear gloves versus not wearing gloves. Why aren't we doing that with um our future, our future generation? Teaching has been the same for the past, 300 years with minor changes with technology, etc. But I can't really name a time where lecture-based teaching has not been a thing, which it is great for some classes, it is needed, but I think that not only is it a case by case by student, but I also think that we are in a world today where our attention is completely different. We have these things everywhere. Everybody has one of these, and look at TikToks. TikToks, 10 seconds, ha ha ha, next. 10 seconds, next, 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 Instagram. Okay, I didn't like TikTok, I'm gonna go to Instagram. If not, I'm gonna go to Snapchat. Our attention span is so small, and I think that's a huge problem as well. And I think that what we should also be looking into, yes, the phone thing may be a great idea, but how do we get people more engaged of what they're doing, even when they're not engaged?
Okay,
I would,
this is
Or
interesting.
even, I,
Go ahead, Amber.
sorry, sorry. I promise I'll stop interrupting you.
there you go.
One day.
Oh yeah, one day.
One day. I think it's really interesting because the what you said sort of made me think of it differently, because I've always been like sort of a proponent of you shouldn't have your phone in class, not necessarily college, but middle school and high school. Like have it in school, like have it on you, but maybe put it in a bin at the beginning of class, or you got it, whatever, I don't know. But sort of to your point, these kids or you or whatever are going to have to go through life with their phone in their pocket. They're not in real life. You don't put your phone in a bin when you walk into a meeting or when you start a work project or when so really what I sort of agree with DJ, like the teaching, I don't know if it's the method or the content or the delivery system has to evolve to compete with the phone
And I
and
want to
win.
add, and I want to add on to that. and ask DJ a question. Do you think, DJ, to your point, because I've been in meetings with other professors, teachers, we chat about this topic, and I'm a proponent of it, but not everybody is. Do you think, so I want to ask you, do you think students your age and younger are asking themselves when they walk into a high school or college classroom, man, why aren't our teachers teaching us in a more modern way? Why aren't they engaging us in a different way to keep our attention? Why does it feel like it's the same lecture, sit at a desk as it was in 1955? I mean, do you sense amongst your peers that you actually talk about this?
Yes and no. I think with some peers that it is definitely a thing, and they're like, all right, this is the way I've been taught for the past 20 years of my life, and it doesn't work for me, and it's not continuing to work. I think that's a question. It's a thing that most say, but I also think that it's a double-edged sword in the fact that people are so used to it that um they just go along with the
They take
crowd
it for
and
granted.
they forget. And one thing I want to give props to you, John, about is the first day of class. I love how you do the first day of class for two reasons. A, it's so different, and B, you want to keep me engaged. The first thing you do, you go, I don't like the way the chairs are set up, make it a round table. And that went a long way for me because I love talking with other people. I love picking other people's brains, but it also showed that you're not looked upon as an authority figure, as most professors and teachers are. I wouldn't say, obviously you're a friend of mine, but to some peers, you aren't, you might not be looked upon as a professor, but more as a teacher of sort in a way that you want me to be learned, engaged, and understand the concept of what's going on. What that roundtable doesn't just do is it puts you on the same level as us. You're not talking to us, and you still give a lecture. It's like very short, but then okay, Joe Schmo or Susie or little Johnny, what do you guys think? And I think that is huge, especially for some people's learnings, and especially where I majored in digital media. And I think that, it's like working in a cubicle 9 to 5 versus going out and doing something different every day, which some people it's great for, some people it's not, and it goes both ways. And that's why I really like the way you ran your classes and almost never in your class. Like, yeah, maybe I'd send a text or something, but I never really wanted to go on my phone for two reasons. I didn't want to miss anything. I didn't want to respect you. It gave me more respect for you because you were showing you wanted to teach me. You weren't just here to do your job, work till 5 o'clock, and then boom, you're done. You wanted to teach me and you put the effort in to show me that you cared, and I gave you that respect back. Now, it's not going to work for everybody, but I think a lot of kids, if they had that growing up, I think it would go a long way.
Do you think along those lines that students, now that we have,
I think what you meant to say was thank you, DJ. That means a lot to me.
oh yeah, Amber,
I
anybody
tell
who
John
knows
that
us
all the
really well,
time.
Amber is working every day with me to be a better human being. So thank you,
Constant
DJ.
process.
I appreciate that a lot. You're absolutely right. I should say that. Thank you, DJ. And I mean that sincerely. Um, To add on to that, DJ, do you think with all the new technology out there, students can go on YouTube and I could go on YouTube right now and learn a new skill. I could go on AI and teach myself what used to be, in millions of pages in the Encyclopedia Britannica. Do you think students walk into a college classroom sometimes and say, God, why do I need to spend $50,000 at a university when I can learn so much on YouTube? So what's going to be different about the university? Oh, I just struck a nerve. Amber wants to say something.
It's not so much, but I've been thinking about this. So, you know how we were talking the other day about things that haven't changed in the
Yeah,
last 50 years?
yeah.
So, we were talking the other day about things that literally have not changed at
We're going to
all
do a
in
show
50
on this.
years.
We're going to do
I
a show
know.
on this.
Well, can I give the one away
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I was talking about airplane seatbelts.
Hmm.
Like literally, you could take an airplane seatbelt from a plane 50 years ago and put it on a plane today, and no one would know the fucking difference. Like it's the same material, it is the same metal, it is the same mechanism. It has not changed at all. And I was talking to John, like I think that's so funny. And I wonder what else, like, could we find sort of like the top 10 things that haven't changed at all? But I feel like we just found number two, and it's the way college students are taught. Like, think about, you know, the movie Animal House? Have you seen the movie Animal House? No, because you're 12.
Oh God,
Uh,
oh DJ, you haven't seen Animal
DJ,
House.
you really have to see Animal House.
I'm
And
feeling a million years old now. All
well,
right,
But
yeah.
ask your father, uncle, somebody a little older.
No, it
Sit down
holds
and
up. It holds
it
up.
holds up really well.
It really is funny. But there's a scene in it where the professor, they go through a year of school, and at the beginning, like the professor's talking and the whole class is there, and then more and more kids bring in tape recorders to just record the lecture. And by the end of the movie, the teacher has recorded his lecture. So it's all audio, like recordings. He's playing a recording and they're recording the recording. And I think to your point, especially in those classes, you know, and I'm not talking about like seminars or electives or uh, classes that really are more collaborative and differently structured, but those large lecture halls are still the same. It's exactly the same.
Mhm.
You could do the
And
same thing.
So
yeah, to add to
throw
your
that in
point,
with DJ,
Wait,
do
let him
kids walk
talk.
in? I want to know if kids walk into class and think, what's what's different? What can I learn from this professor today that I couldn't learn on my own?
yeah, and to add to Amber's point, like, it's a thing, we're advancing everything else in the world. And there's always a famous saying, don't reinvent the wheel, which I'm all for. Don't reinvent the wheel. It's perfect. But I also think that statement again is a double-edged sword where it's telling someone, don't even look at it, look at it, look past it. Why can't I look at the wheel and say, okay, let's not change it, but what can I do to make it more efficient, better? And to John's point too, of what other people think, I think the problem is that it's so regimented that people don't want to question the norm, and then the people who do question
100%.
outliers. And one thing that I'm glad that my dad taught me when I was growing up, and I wish like a lot of other people had this growing up, was whenever I asked my dad a question about something, whether it be how to fix a computer or how to do whatever, first thing he would tell me, even if he knew the answer, go look it up on Google. And I'd be like, can you just tell me, no, go look it up on Google. Come on. I mean, it's going to take, no, go look it up on Google. And obviously we can all see what he's trying to teach me there. But another thing that it taught me well is that advanced Google searching, and, unless I really couldn't find the answer, he told me, but I think that's what a lot of people struggle with today. And I've noticed it. Like when I was at UConn, I couldn't find out how to do something. I'd search up, how to do this class and this assignment at UConn, or how to fee bill at UConn, how to update name on UConn student admin. And people are like, you can't look that up on Google. And I did all the time. I think that's the problem where people, there's little keywords. And I had a class in elementary school, little things you could use for Google. It was great. Do I remember most of it? No, it was elementary. But the one thing I remember was stuff like, if I'm looking for UConn, I'm going to type UConn in it. And looking up something to fix a computer, I can't find it. I know Reddit's a good source. How to fix a fan on Dell computer, Reddit. Little things like that that would help give me the right search results. And I nickname it advanced Google searching. And I think that's what a lot of people, need to learn, especially like with ChatGPT. Don't go to ChatGPT like I was going to my dad, say, hey, what's the answer to this question? Oh, the answer is B. No, you're doing it the wrong way. Go to ChatGPT and say, what can I do, or what is the process to get the correct answer without telling me the correct answer? You
Oh,
know,
that's
That
interesting.
is
That's
interesting.
interesting, DJ, and that's an area I want to go into in this conversation. So you're saying one of the ways that all of us, but especially your generation, is learning or should learn how to use the emerging tech, in this case AI, is learning how to talk to it and have it teach you to do things.
yeah, not only teach you to do things, but to also learn new things. And it goes back to the famous saying of, you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. You teach a man a fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. And that's what I think it really comes down to because, I could go to ChatGPT all day and say, how do I get ready to go on a podcast? That's great. Or how can I make myself sound more elaborate and more knowledgeable on a podcast? I think it's certain tweaks and stuff, and that I think with our generation, it's so easy for everybody just to go on our phones and say, what is the answer to this? We've all done it, your car battery dies. Someone would, oh, how do I change out a car
How do
battery?
you how do you jump a car? How do you change a
Exactly.
flat?
So
How do
shaking
you,
perfect for situations like that. I'm not going
yeah.
to somebody for that. I do the same thing. But when you're trying to learn something or understand something, advanced Google searching always helps. And I think that is a skill that is not looked upon well by most people. And I think a lot of people need to learn that.
I
Do you
think
think do your peers do that, or is that something that's kind of mixed? Some
Yes
yes,
and
some
no.
no.
That's why I add the advanced part to the name because
Yeah,
most people
yeah.
like how to how to jumpstart a car, like Amber said. Okay, well, this isn't my car. Oh, I'm SOL, shit out of luck. Well, okay, well, how to jumpstart Jeep Wagoneer
yeah,
2000, little things like that. And that's
Yeah, Amber does
real
that all
even
the
quick
things,
to
time.
give up.
so even things like the battery in car
Our key fob.
our key fob for the car was dying. And every time we got in the car was like, your battery's dying. Like, you're not going to be able to start the car eventually. And if you go to the dealership, it's like hundreds of dollars for a new one. Like, they take, whatever. It's such a, so you can look up your actual car, like to your point, if you used advanced techniques, you can look up your actual car model number. You can watch a video where someone has the same exact, same exact thing that you're dealing with. You can get the number of the battery that you need. And I did it myself. I actually had the battery in the junk drawer of our kitchen already. It took 10 minutes.
Yeah, and that's the thing, just the little advanced Google searching. And to add to your point too before, John, I think that a lot of people struggle in school today, especially because of the phones, is a lot of people today, it's not like it was back then, you had to go to the library to find your answer. A lot of people are
Yeah.
advanced learners. Me personally, you tell me, give me a book on how to take apart a computer and put it back together. I'm gonna fail it. I'm telling you right now, it's just I'm not a good reader. I read very slow, and I'm just not, I can't retain it as well. You give me a YouTube video, I'm going to understand it a lot better. I might not get it right on the first try, but I'm going to do a lot better. And the way how I am, I'm going to keep doing it and rewatching that video until I got it down pat. When I took a fire department exam, for example, a physical ability test, I went on Google and I studied little techniques of what people did. And that's the other thing is too, like I said, the answer didn't just hit me in the face when I was looking for ways to do better on my time on my physical ability test for the fire department. I was watching the video, but studying and taking notes. Okay, this person did this person did that. And it didn't hit me smack dab in the face. I had to watch it 5 or 6 times of 100 videos, watch them 4, 5, 6, sometimes 10 times per video just to see little tweaks that people did. I think that's the things that the answer is not always going to hit you right in the face, and you got to dig deeper.
And
I
everybody
think what
learns
you're trying
different.
to, well, I think what DJ is trying to say is it's a different way of learning, and it's so generational. There's a meme that's going around probably on platforms that you're not on because I'm way older than you, but there's a meme that goes around about Generation X, which is my generation, that is like, when I Google something, I don't want a fucking video. I want a list of written out instructions that tells me how to do it. Because for us, that's how we learned. So I really do think that that's like a generation gap thing. Like I think that a lot of the time, sort of to your point, the people teaching the class learn one way and the people in the classroom
Well, that's why I
maybe
brought up
learn
this
another
that and I
way.
think that's why I brought up this entire topic, and we talked about it in a previous episode, and we're going to do something about it later this summer or fall. Is different generations in the workplace and in the classroom learn and communicate differently. And
One,
it's really important for all of us, no matter what our ages are, to understand who our audience is or who our peers are or who our coworkers
And
are
to
and
not be
understanding.
afraid of the like. So I'm going to give you another saying, DJ, because you're a man of my heart and you seem to like sayings, which I do too. The 7 most expensive words in business are "we've always done it that way."
yep.
Problem, right?
Because if that's your excuse, if that's your reason for continuing to do it, that it's not good enough. That's not a good enough reason. But I think I think a lot of people's reaction is fear-based. I think that people are resistant to change. And I think that one of the reasons that John is a really different teacher is that he's not afraid of the idea that he can learn something from the kids just as much as the kids can learn something from him. Like
Yeah,
it's a two-way street.
when I started teaching 7 years ago, our producer, Nick, was in the classroom, one of the first things that hit me day one when I walked in was how smart these kids were. I call them kids. They were 21 years old, 22 years old. They're adults, but they were a kid to me. And it dawned on me on the drive home right away. I can learn so much from them. That
Even the
wouldn't
not smart ones. Like I don't I don't mean that there were dummies in your class, but what I mean is it's not even about how smart the kid is. It's about
it's what's going
they've
on in
been
their
raised
lives.
differently.
What is it? When I walked into the first classroom, last time I'd been in a classroom, I was online at Northwestern University, but I had been in a classroom at Providence College. So we had a chalkboard, we had an older white male lecturing us, no questions, take notes. If you miss class, you're screwed. Or you find your buddy down the end of your dorm and say, can you give me your notes? And that's how we learned. And I knew immediately that is not with a capital N, capital O, capital T, how these kids are going to learn most effectively. And so I immediately just read the room that I could
Also,
learn a
don't
lot
be
from them.
threatened. I think that there's a lot of fear that
Well, yeah, I guess so.
any
I guess so.
challenge to the status quo, and I think DJ said something like this before, any challenge to the status quo or the way things are done is put down or squashed or dismissed out of hand. I have something else that I want to say because we're coming up on time. But I
There's
really
so
want to
much,
say this.
DJ. We're gonna have
I
to have you
know
back
we're gonna
later
have to have
this
DJ
summer
back
because there's so much more to
because
talk about.
one of the things I want to talk about is a lot of the people that we've had on this podcast, we've talked about AI and emerging technologies sort of replacing jobs. And I love that you are training right now to do a job that cannot possibly be replaced by AI. Like,
Yeah.
how does AI save someone in a fire? I mean, yes, it can do research and collate data and make more fireproof homes, but in the event of an emergency, you need
Well, not only
you.
that, but I want DJ. You may not know yet, but maybe later this summer or next year when we have you more on the show, you can tell us. So, yes, your job can't be replaced by AI, but are you seeing? Talk about that, and then talk about, are you seeing any new advances in technology? Are they using robots to do things or cameras to do things? Tell us some technology advances you're seeing in firefighting, for
Yeah.
example.
Definitely, like I know Stanford, which is a town over from me, they actually have a digital dispatch system. So they have the regular 911 operator, but it's not the typical 911 operator calling dispatch. They just put into the computer, okay, John Murphy, you got two people in the house is on fire. I need two ambulances and I need a fire company, truck, ladder, etc. And they put that into the computer and it's a literally computer dispatching saying tower one, engine one, ambulance one, respond to 123 Main Street. It's a computerized system, which is a lot easier because it takes the stress off the dispatcher trying to get someone else, especially if you're in a hurricane or a mass casualty event.
Right.
A lot going on, and it's very easy. Just go boom, 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 just like sending a text. And there's other ways that we can look into this too. And that's why I'm really excited about AI is that AI can take data and go with it so quickly. So I could say, all right, AI, here's the data from Scott Air. They do the air packs. Here's the data from Scott Air, how much air we've had, how much this we have, how many people have run out of air, how many people have passed away because they ran out of oxygen, or how heavy is it? And here are the complaints from the fire departments and their wishes as well. What do you think, we could do? And again,
Make a better wheel, make a better air pack.
exactly. It's not saying, hey, give me the answer. It's saying, hey, give me ideas because I might think something because of the way I was raised in any situation. Amber or John, you guys might think of something completely different than me. And that's what I think what goes back to John's first day of class, the round table discussion that I think a lot of people forget is picking other people's brains and seeing what do you think, what do you that think? And that's the thing with the AI. You pick its brain to see what it thinks and what ideas it can come up with. And like I want to go another point I want to make is Amber's point on the status quo. and how people are resistant to that is me working in the football industry is really like an IT industry. And like we all know, in IT, if it can happen, it will happen. Anything will break. Computers have a mind of their own. And the New England Patriots, their server is over, I think, 30 years old, and you're supposed to replace them every 4 years. Why? Oh, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's what they say. And I'm very fortunate that my boss at UConn for the football team, he was so happy not to have, I don't want to use the word change, but do things differently. And when I saw him and saw his process, I fantasized about it. It was great. I learned the way he did it and figured out, okay, I know how he did it. How can I do this better? How can I do it more efficiently? Can I take out a step? Can I take out a middleman? And that's what I think a lot of people need to realize and do. And really with all that stuff, it's self-taught, a lot of it, just putting your brain there and just advanced Google searching and stuff. And
So you're in an industry where and I think this is an important takeaway from today's show. You're walking into an industry, firefighting, where you could be in New York City with skyscrapers or in suburbs with homes, where you will not be replaced by AI, but the field that you're in will be leveraging emerging technologies like AI and other tools to do your job more efficiently and better to save lives. So the upside of technology is what's being leveraged in your field, and yet you have a job firefighting and saving lives that at least as far as we can see, is never going to be not going to be replaced by a robot or AI.
Yeah, and it again, I think AI really helps, especially in the firefighting industry, because I know, 20, 30 years ago, you can get a beam in your house going from the basement all the way up to the top floor. And now that's banned because of fire code, because that's how the fire can travel up so quickly in certain types of material and stuff. Now, again, we had to learn those things. Okay, it's like it goes back to cavemen. When cavemen touch fire, they were curious. They're like, all right, let's go touch fire. They touch it. Okay, we're not going to do that again. We learned our lesson. And we're still all cavemen by heart. And okay, we have beams going from basement to top floor. Fire moves quickly. Let's not do that again. Let's ban it. And that's us thinking about it. Now imagine you have a computer, an AI, that can process that information so much faster, where I could say, all right, instead of figuring that out over 10, 20, 30 years, hey, here's 6 months of fires that happen in New York City. What is our biggest problem?
What's the common denominator? And they can, process that data.
And what
That's
are your,
awesome.
not, don't say, what should I do? Ask it, what are our options to prevent said fire or said thing from happening? Don't have it give you the answer, have it give you options.
Again, learning how to talk to AI, how to ask it the right questions.
Yep. And not just AI, Google as well.
Or Google as well, right? And Google now, have you noticed, DJ? Google
Yes.
has an AI
Everybody has an AI.
And that's a
piece.
problem, because I started searching up stuff for my EMT class, just little acronyms.
You notice that? Yeah.
Boom, it gives me the answer. It's great, but it's making me dumber at the same time. It's just showing me,
Oh,
okay, I can find what I
interesting.
want, not teaching me how to fish.
Yeah, it's giving
Right.
you the summary of all the things that are below and giving you what it thinks is the best answer right out of the gate. I've noticed that the last few weeks.
And people need to realize AI is wrong. I've seen it. I saw it
Yeah.
on.
Can be wrong, right?
I used Quizlet. Quizlet was giving me flashcards about CPR, and I forgot the thing, but it was very clear and wrong that, okay, this step in CPR is not correct. I need to take this out before I learn this and teach myself it.
So critical thinking skills. Like if we get an answer from AI, don't automatically assume it's 100% correct. Use your brain. Does that feel right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Got it.
Well, thank
Well,
you so much.
I know we're up
Sorry.
against it. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Amber. Go
I
ahead.
was just going to say thank you so much for joining us, and we definitely want to have you back on
Of course.
in the future when we can talk some more about this stuff. And as always, if any of the listeners have questions, feel for questions or topic suggestions or guest suggestions or anything like that, email them to digitaldilemmas@lenk.media and we will address. Thank you so
Thanks,
much for
DJ.
listening.
We wish you the
Thank you,
best of luck
DJ.
this summer with all your tests.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
All right, Digital Dilemma fans, that wraps up another episode. Thanks for tuning in and navigating our tech world with us.
Please rate us and leave a review. And if you enjoyed it, tune in next time. We'd also love it if you would send us any questions or suggest guests via email. Thanks so much for listening, and we will see you next week.
Digital Dilemmas is a Link Media original podcast.